Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's low frame rate experience, we're looking at another aeroplane, and this thing sitting right behind me is called the Primewing 797, which is a completely vanilla aircraft for you to fly around in your world. Now this is a updated version of a aeroplane that I showcased almost 4 years ago, and it should be a lot of fun to fly around. So pressing F10 and finding this thing in the spawn menu, the Primewing is 21,333 small blocks. We can see here one hell of a lot of information about it on the Steam Workshop page, and that is for good reason, because it's not controlled normally. We had to go into a control panel to find a remote control block, and we have some very important stuff here stating that it does not fly well. So give this thing a thumbs up. I'll move all the way around towards the very front. We'll have a quick look around the outside, quick look at the interior. I'll just have a brief look at the airport that I'm currently using, which will also be in the description below if you do wish to download and play with it. And then we're going to take off and see what it can do. So at the very front, this is what we get. So we can see a bunch of white and light blue blocks that make up the main body of this ship. We also have a small amount of windows for you to peer outside as you're driving this around, and our wheel at the bottom that'll fold up and go inside thanks to a hinge and a piston. We'd also see a bunch of atmospheric thrusters on the inside to keep this thing off the ground, and 1 metric ton of gyroscopes. When you think you've seen all the gyroscopes on this ship, think again, because there's a hell of a lot more stored somewhere else. Pulling away from that and moving around onto the side, this is what we get. So we can see one hell of a lot of our blue blocks, one hell of a lot of windows, and over here is the first of a few doors. We simply press that, a rotor will push it forwards and fold it to the side. I'll show you that a bit later, because it is easier to show than it is to tell. Pulling away from that and moving all the way along, that is all we get till we get over to our wing. So this is the wing and how it's been set up. So we can see ourselves a spotlight to light up the darkness, once again some wheels that will fold up inside the ship, but unlike the front wheels, they'll fold up on their side. Just getting a better look at that, we can see a hinge that'll fold all the way around over to this section and store it in the main body. Coming all the way across to here, this is our, in quotations, engine, which is made from steel blocks and a bunch of rotating rotors. If we were to move the camera all the way in, you'll be able to see what's going on with that. So there's all of our rotors, there's our steel blocks, and then right behind it is a couple more atmospheric thrusters. If we were to pull away from that and look at it on the side, that's how it's been attached. And all the way around towards the very back, we have one lone atmospheric thruster to push us around. Looking all the way up, that's how the wing has been angled. Some great use of the hinges, some great use of pistons and rotors to get this done. Must have taken one hell of a lot of time to actually do this. Anyway, coming back around to the side of the wing, that's all we can see over here. We can see how it's been angled all the way up to the tips, but we do have a little light. Coming around onto this side, that is all we can see. Then dropping down behind our atmospheric thruster, or even our engine thingy-bob, we see the rear of our wheels. Then we come back to the main body. So looking at that, once again, we can see a lot of chairs on the inside, and there is one hell of a lot of chairs. Then at the very back here, here is another door to open up for service personnel to get into the vehicle. If you were to look at the back, there are our fins. And all the way around towards the very back of this vehicle and looking at directly on, that is all we can see. And you can see the frame rates are going down and down and down as the airport comes onto the screen. But moving all the way up and looking down, that is all we can see. Then along the main body, not too much else to talk about. It just looks bloody fantastic with how it's all been set up. But anyway, dropping down and coming underneath it, being careful of the runway, that's what we get underneath, so we can see clearly how our wheels are going to be folded all the way up. Moving along the main body, there we go. And then over to this section, this will be where our other wheels will fold inside. And then towards the back, there we go. And then just very quickly, what I'm going to do is pan the camera through the top of this vehicle. In fact, we won't do that just yet. We'll go through the bottom of the vehicle and I'll show you all the gubbins and how it's all been hidden up. So here's one hell of a lot of atmospheric thrusters tanking the frame rate, and all the way through here, dropping down below our seats. Like I said, one hell of a lot of gyroscopes, one hell of a lot of atmospheric thrusters, a lot of reactors, and yes, there's just a lot going on with this vehicle. And just moving all the way towards the front, coming up and going above it, we'll see even more gyroscopes. Look at all these, hundreds of thousands of them. And yes, that's all we get on the inside. But now what I can do is just grab hold of my character, go and have a look around the interior, and then we'll go look at the airport. So just jetpacking all the way up, Bringing up the HUD, there we go, pressing that button, the doorway will now open up and slide to the side. We now get on the inside, press this button on the side, and that will seal us inside. That's a lot of times I said side there, but anyway. And the back here is where you'd prepare the food up for all of your passengers, but we do have a few lights in here, a few cargo containers to store a few bits and bobs, and a window on the opposite. Turning around and facing forwards, that is all of our seats for your passengers to sit on. But on the left and right, we then got our toilets, and that's all we get. So we can just about fit inside here if we were to stand on the toilet, but unfortunately my character cannot, we'll just close them up. So walking along here, this is what we get. We've got our LCD screens above each of your seats, so you can inform your passengers what's going on and if they need to buckle their seat belts. And just turning around and facing towards the back, there we go. Turn around once again, we can see here we've got what I believe is the emergency escape. I don't think these are actual doors. Yes, we just throw these out and jump out in an emergency. Turning around and facing towards these seats, we are now in the middle class section. As you can see, it's a lot more spacious than it is right behind us. That is very much like the cattle class, where we can be crammed all together to get as many people in as possible, and this one is a bit more luxurious. The seats in front have tables for you to eat your food on, there's plenty of leg room so you can stretch them out and have a more relaxing journey. And as we were to move over to this section, we then once again got two doors that lead into our toilets. There we go. Bit more fancier than the ones at the back here. We got ourselves a button for a light. And around here we actually have toilet roll in this one. So it sucks to be the ones in the back. And now we come to the first class section where we've got ourselves a private booth with a TV. As you can see, we've got a bunch of Clan Cola adverts being played. And we can just come and sit into this chair. And this is what we get. We've got a lovely view out the side. A nice spacious area, once again LCDs above us, and yes, we now just hop out of that and start moving towards the front. So coming all the way past this is now the front section where this is the door we saw at the very start. We can press that, and now fold all the way out, allow your people to get in and out. We're just going to close that up for the moment. On the opposite side is the exact same to open and close it, and then just facing towards all the seats, there we go. And then just coming round and into this is your cockpit for your pilots to fly the plane around. So we've got two regular seats, which is why we have to use the remote control block. We can see here some fantastic use of our custom weapon controller, just adding as little decoration around this cockpit. And once again, we've got ourselves access points to store a few bits and bobs inside. If we were to look towards the front, I have no idea what's going on with the frame rate. Hopefully it will recover. We can see LCD screens telling us our meters per second, our artificial horizon, and some other fake LCD screens telling us our fuel. But for the moment, what I'll do is just leave my character here, come back into the free camera, and we'll just go and take a look at the airport. So I'm hoping the runway will be good enough for this plane to take off, and I won't go into too much detail for the airport itself. Like I said, there will be a link to it in the description below if you do wish to check it out. But this is what we get. We've got a small building on the side, a small hangar for you to store your aircraft. Round over to here, we've got a bunch of hydrogen tanks. We can see our loading platforms. Then over to this one is an area for your small aircraft, and a few little doorways that lead on to places that you have to add in yourself. There's also a place down here for an elevator if you want to set that up. And just for a little brief look on the inside where your passengers will be waiting around, getting their food, and getting onto the planes. So through here, that's where you'll be loaded up. Then moving all the way up and just panning the camera through this section, they got a little area for your CEOs to discuss a few bits and bobs, and of course to control all the stuff on the runway. But without further ado, I think it's time to actually take this thing off. So I'll come back into here, drop my character back in, and we'll go and play around with it. So here we go, I'm going to get into the left hand seat. There we are, I'm going to press I, come to the control panel, find the remote control block, and now we're going to take control. There we go. We're now lowered down onto this platform, and we've got a few controls to go through, where number one is going to be for our reverse thrust, which is going to be used to slow ourselves down so we can actually land this. Number two is to raise and lower our wheels. Number 3 is for our flaps, which is cosmetic only. Number 4 is for our seatbelt signs. Number 5 and number 6 we simply ignore. But 7, 8 and 9 is going to be for our doorways all the way around this plane. So we can press that. That'll open up the door at the front. You can just about make that out. And the other ones will be for the opposite side and the ones at the back. And here we go. We're now going to start to move forwards. Ignore the fact that I've changed plans because I forgot Pertam had 1.2 Gs of gravity and Earthlight is much better suited to this plane. So now I'm going to start to lift this thing up. Hopefully it'll go a lot better than my previous attempt at this and just slammed it into a mountainside. Now I can press number 3. Our wheels now start to go in. Hopefully this will lift up in time. I've been having a devil's job getting this into the air. It looks like we are scraping along the ground. Hopefully it can get up in time. And there we go, with a few wheels missing, we are now flying the Primewing 797, and our wheels have been successfully put inside the ship. And we're just going to ignore the wobbling wing, but it is a rather majestic plane to fly around. So a few minutes have passed, and we are still moving in the air. It's doing very well, but it's looking like this could be the end of the Primewing 797, so I'm unable to turn this in time. I'm hoping I can actually get this away, but it looks like this is going to be it. This is going to be the crash at the end. And there we go. That was a sort of successful landing. I can now get out of this and listen to the awful sound of everything clanging together. I can now go and check on all the passengers. Looks like they are sort of in one piece, apart from those ones over there. And it looks like we are sort of falling through the mountainside. Yes, as for that is pretty much it for what the Primewing 797 has to offer. It's a lovely recreation of a traditional aircraft, and does pair well with the airport that you found on the Steam Workshop page. So both of these will be in the description below if you do wish to download and play around with them yourself. Highly recommend you do, although word of warning, both of these together are very intensive on the PCU limit, so do be aware of that if you do have a low-end PC like mine. But anyway, if you try this out, I hope you have better luck than I did, because it is a rather hard thing to fly around, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.